I remember being certain, as I sat in theaters watching Circle of Friends and Good Will Hunting, that Minnie Driver and I would really like each other. This was back in the mid-1990s, and we were both just breaking through in our careers. She, admittedly, a bit more fabulously as an Academy Award nominee, while I was writing newspaper articles. I realized that pretty much everyone who watched these movies thought Minnie could be their best friend, and that was kind of the point of her string of relatable, lovable, new twist on the girl next door roles. But she and I were practically twins. Born the same year, we had similar brown curly hair and identical senses of humor. Alas, I lacked the adorable British accent. Flash forward 20 years and Minnie and I are about to spend some serious quality time together. I now oversee the New York Times's new gender initiative and lead a team trying to grow our international audience, and will be interviewing her about the #MeToo moment live on a London stage February 20. The event is part of a new push to use live events around the world to showcase our journalism and start provocative conversations. The day after Minnie and I meet, for example, several of the journalists responsible for our groundbreaking coverage of sexual misconduct will discuss how they do their work at the University of Toronto. A couple of weeks later and many miles away in Melbourne, Australia, the Times is hosting a similar panel called Reporting the Gender Reckoning. With these events, the Times is bringing our brand of journalism alive for readers, in real life and, often, via video stream. Sometimes this involves breaking news on stage. When we interviewed Paul D. Ryan, the Republican Speaker of the United States House of Representatives last fall, he revealed a partisan deal involving hurricane aid. This week in San Francisco, we convened an array of business leaders to talk about artificial intelligence. Sometimes, as with the upcoming Toronto #MeToo panel, or as with a recent Washington discussion of how reporters get sources to talk, it's more about giving people direct access to our top journalists and insights into how they make the magic happen. For people outside the United States, who might be less familiar with the Times, we think these events can be a crucial and compelling introduction. We want to remind them that we are on the ground reporting in their neighborhoods. For example, we now have more than 40 journalists in our London newsroom. We want to show them how our journalism is distinct from our competitors. In London, my talk with Minnie is being produced in partnership with the How To Academy, which puts on scores of events each year. We think their audience of curious citizens eager to engage with speakers on the issues of the day is a natural fit for Times journalism. We're calling our event series How to Understand Our Times. In March, we're bringing the Times columnist Tom Friedman and Yuval Harari, the historian and philosopher, together to discuss the future of humanity. Later this spring, we'll be back in London to talk about climate change and sustainable fashion. But we wanted to start with #MeToo because of the Times's key role in breaking the investigative stories about Harvey Weinstein, Bill O'Reilly, and others, and in chronicling the social reckoning since. We invited Minnie Driver because she is one of the women who has used her celebrity to champion the cause, often igniting controversy, as when she criticized Matt Damon for calling for a differentiation among various bad behaviors. There is no moral ground that you take these days that doesn't have a consequence, she told me Wednesday in a telephone conversation. She likened the #MeToo movement to an insurgency and compared it to political rebellions where public scrutiny quickly trained on the rebels. As with most insurgents, you stop looking at that which is being rebelled against, she said, citing the Syrian civil war, which started with street protests against President Bashar al-Assad and is now in its 7th brutal year. You stop looking at Assad and you start looking at ISIS. As my younger self knew we would, Minnie and I clicked on the phone, and I'm confident the chemistry will continue on stage. I'd love to collect some questions from you, post them in the comments, to ask her. We'll post video after the event here on our site, and also on our YouTube channel.